Hey,
What's up?
okay, nice to meet you. I go by OP Analysis on YouTube. How are
Okay.
you?
Is that your birth name?
No, no, God, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Probably an amazing name to be honest though.
Yeah, it would be an interesting name. I'd probably be quite recognizable. People probably wouldn't
Yeah,
forget it.
yeah. You probably would have got doxxed by now. So kind of fortunate. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Uh, well, I'm pretty good. Just like finished up eating and everything, and you know,
Mm,
uh, typically I don't really do much at this time besides for watch something or look or watch One Piece or read One Piece content, I should say.
yeah, yeah. I just gotta say, man, your videos have changed my life. First, I was a happy eccentric dude, and now I want to kill myself from watching from that, bro. Okay, let's just dive right into this absolute end of my life
Mhm.
right here. All right. So,
Okay.
okay, you already know what the first thing is gonna be, but let's just save that for a little bit later. Okay, you already know what it. Um, I want you to tell me, like, tell me right now that you honestly believe, like, maybe not beat, but is
Mhm.
comparable. Akainu is comparable. Mhm.
Now, as for the reasoning as why he's actually up, depending on if Akainu is supposed to be like Im-sama, do you know
No.
about Im-sama? Okay, well, that's actually the person who rules the world of One Piece, apparently. Like, that's the person above the Celestial Dragons. And so, like, if that person is Luffy's last fight and it's like his last major fight, then I'd probably put Akainu lower down. But if Akainu is his last fight, which currently I think like the fight against the Marines would be the last fight, I think he fights Blackbeard before that. Then I essentially think that one, especially after having fought Blackbeard, he needs someone to be on that level. Because like I think Blackbeard, the reason why Blackbeard's in Yonko level is because I don't know if he's going to be getting another devil fruit or anything before the next time we see him. Because he's
Mm,
definitely supposed to like. Do you know who Rox is? I should point that
yeah,
out. Do you know who
yeah,
Rox is?
yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to parallel Rox, which was a huge rival to Roger. So I imagine if Blackbeard's supposed to parallel that guy, he's going to be on that same level. And so just
Uh,
because I don't know if he's getting another devil fruit now, if he's actually already on that level, I just put him in Yonko to be safe. But because I think the whole Marine fight is going to happen afterwards, I feel like Akainu also has to be on that level essentially, especially because like Roger had someone like Garp in the Marines who could fight him toe to toe. At least that's how it's always kind of been portrayed that they were pretty evenly matched. And so it feels a little like I feel like it almost takes away from Luffy's like journey in terms of like his road to Pirate King and all that. If like the strongest person in the Marines that he faces is weaker than the strongest person in the Marines that Roger faced. And so if
mhm.
Garp was on the same level as Roger, I think Akainu should also be on that level essentially. So that's kind of the reasoning there. It's not really like based on fates. I should make that
Yeah,
clear.
okay, okay. So, d- um, would you say Akainu gets an amp between now and end of series?
I don't personally think he's gonna be getting an amp.
Okay.
Yeah.
What if he's not getting an amp, then why is he and Aokiji 5 tiers apart?
Okay. Now this is the one everyone has a problem with. I actually do have a video
For
explaining
good
this as well.
reason.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't actually watch that video. I just wanted to really just ask you directly, so I didn't have to waste like 16 minutes of my life. Yeah.
Oh, it's fine. Whatchamacallit, essentially, here's the way I view it. Like, I think devil fruits are a lot more important right now than a lot of other people do. Like, I
Mhm.
think someone the other day kind of compared it to like, being tall in the NBA isn't the biggest benefit when you're in the NBA. But I do think the way they interplay with each other is still vastly important. And so, like, when him and Aokiji fought, a lot of people like to say that Kainu had like the advantage in terms of devil fruit nature, but like that's not actually something that's really been put in One Piece. Like, in one element has the advantage over another element when they're opposites like this. Like there are a few exceptions in some ways. Like Luffy when he fought Enel, he
Yeah.
kind of had he didn't even really have an advantage per se. It's just his attacks could hurt Enel, but it won't. Yeah, no, he kind
Yeah.
of had an advantage. I'll give that. He had the advantage
Yeah.
because he was reverent. His attack, he was immune, and he could attack Enel, but Enel couldn't use his
Yeah.
lightning attacks against him. So on a pure devil fruit basis, he had an advantage. But to me, like I've never really seen fire as being inherently superior to ice in One Piece. Like if you get someone who has a cold Logia and hit them with a warm attack, it will hurt them. And I think the opposite is true if you were to take a
Yeah.
cold attack to someone who is made out of something really warm. And we kind of see that in the more recent. Oh, in Whole Cake Island, Jinbei attacked uh, Prometheus. Sorry, its
Yeah.
name is hard to say. Prometheus,
Yeah.
Big Mom's giant son. That's what I was trying to say. My bad. And
Mhm.
so essentially, that's kind of the way I kind of view the elemental like superiority or inferiority is I don't think there is one. I think the devil fruits completely cancel each other out. And the environment in Punk Hazard would also just kind of support that since it's one half is magma, one half is ice. It's completely evened out. And the thing
Okay.
is, Akainu's devil fruit is very important because it's one of. Do you know about like Oda's statement about Akainu's devil fruit, or like the information I should
Yeah.
say that was found in the Viva cards?
Yeah, it's like the most offensively best over like that. It's something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, essentially that. And like when you look at like for example, all the like mortal tax, like the mortal tax, the fatal tax that he gave to Whitebeard, those were due to his devil fruit. I'd like the
Mhm.
admirals have really strong hockey and everything, but to say that their devil fruits aren't that important would be a bit weird to me. I think that
Yeah.
Akainu gets a humongous amp in terms of what kind of damage he could do because of his devil fruit. Because well, it's like if you get hit with magma, it's gonna damage just about anyone. It's extremely potent. On
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other hand, I think Aokiji doesn't so much get that kind of benefit. Like Aokiji's Devil Fruit's extremely versatile and has the potential to one shot a lot of characters because you can like if you can lay a hand on them nice and solidly, you can just freeze them and then knock them over and boom, fight's
Mhm.
done. Unless they could get out of the ice. So
Yeah.
it's nice in some ways, but like I think it would be insane to say that it gives the user the same increase in damage output that it gives a Kainu.
Mhm.
And so when they fought, the devil fruits essentially they were able to cancel each other out. Because although Aokiji like fought Ace and like they had a quick clash and those canceled out, the way heat transfer works is the difference between the two like systems of heat. Like the bigger that difference is in heat or temperature, the faster the heat will transfer. And it's not like once the ice melts, it stops absorbing heat. The steam will keep absorbing heat, and there's functionally no limit to that. So he should pretty much be able to cancel out evenly with anyone who has a heat-based devil fruit, essentially. And it would just kind of improve with the change in temperature because the rate at which his ice absorbs the heat also just increases. And
Yeah.
so, like, because the devil fruits neutralized each other, I think Akainu got a much bigger like nerf than Aokiji. Because like when you get down to the way Aokiji fights, he has that one-shot technique, and if that doesn't work on you, then he can make weapons out of his ice. And like losing that, why, yeah, that is a bit of a nerf. At the same time, I don't think his weapons are gonna be like much better than any other weapons you could find. And he probably and like he does use hockey. He seems like he is at an adept at hand-to-hand combat. Akainu also is as well, but he lost basically the ability to do that godly damage And so I think
Yeah.
he was just much more nerfed during the fight, and it essentially would have come down to the hockey usage, speed, strength, basically like a fight with more regular humans.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry,
So
that was a really long-winded answer.
yeah. Um. So let me think about the answer that I had about 10 minutes ago. No play. Um. So like. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. So with the yeah, I can agree. Like it's definitely not something of like Luffy versus Enel where like Enel couldn't like he'd strike Luffy with lightning, it did nothing. Luffy could
Mhm,
actually hit a Logia without hockey. I definitely agree it's not like that. I also agree it's not like Aokiji's fruit is inherently weak to um Akai's because it does take a while for the heat to actually do something. But
mhm,
I do feel like Akainu's fruit is still better. I feel like even with like the hacks or not really I say hacks, but when he tried to attack, well, when he did attack Whitebeard and he like make that like hole in his stomach.
yeah,
Um, I feel like it's just the way that Akainu and Aokiji are very similar. Like the few things that we did see about their fight, it was them clashing. It's just general relativity is implied with everything with them. They fought for 10 days. So,
mhm,
at the very least, all of their physical attributes are like near equal. Because if
yeah,
not, then one would have speed blitzed, one would have knocked the other one out, but it's that didn't happen. So their hockey must be, also on the same tier as is also applied when when they're all blocking that attack from who was it like Whitebeard or something? Yeah.
yeah, it's
Um.
implied that they
Yeah.
all have advanced, like, some higher form of armament hockey.
Yeah, yeah. So, with the um, I feel like we haven't seen well, we've seen a quite a bit of a Kainu's fruit,
Mhm,
but with Oda saying it's the best offensively, I feel like that could also mean like it's just with the devil fruits are applied to the characters in a certain way for their character. 'Cause
mhm,
Akainu is he's very driven, he's aggressive, he's flamed up just like magma. Aokiji's very chill with his fruit, um, and then Kizaru is funny because he's really slow, but he has the fastest hill fruit ever,
yeah,
you know? Um, so I feel like I'm definitely not gonna make that the, Devil fruit. I feel like Akainu's devil fruit is a little bit better, but I still feel like their devil fruits are more or less not equal, but like relative, like definitely
mhm,
relative. But I feel like the biggest reason, first of all, they fought for 10 days.
yeah,
So is my main problem. You could honestly sit here and put Aokiji in high first commander, Akainu and Yonko. I'd be completely fine.
mhm,
But the fact that they fought for 10 days and they're 5 tiers apart, that's what's really striking me.
mhm,
Because not only did Akainu barely win, I feel like the only reason he did win is for what they were fighting for. I feel like if they were fighting like when Helmeppo and what's his name, Colby,
Kobe?
when they joined and you see like these Marines fighting and training, I feel like if it was for training and it was just practice, um, it would go down differently because Akainu his whole character is the Marines, while Aokiji is now with the Blackbeards. So
Mhm,
I feel like it's unfair to only look at the Devil Fruit
yeah,
um as like where an advantage can be or not be. Because
well,
even if we want to say, well, Akainu had a disadvantage because he couldn't use it to his full power, because Aokiji negated his attacks, I feel like at the end of the day, Akainu's his Dull Fruit is just as versatile, and it's basically Aokiji's but Magma. And the reason I say that is because we see things like Aokiji disappearing into what is that mist stuff? And then he's flying around. Well, not flying around, but he's transporting like Akainu did with his red dog. He has these giant feet like magma
Oh wait,
kind of magma waves.
are you talking about when he got hit and then he broke up and then reformed on the ground?
Something like that, but no, it was more like it was more like he disappeared.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Okay. And um okay, well, I don't want to shotgun you, but before I forget, let me pull this. I swear to God if I okay. I'm assuming you know about that.
Know about
The
what?
I sent it in general. I'm assuming you already knew about this. Admiral Kiji is the greatest power in the Navy.
Yes, I do know that. Actually, I think I have 1 second. I think I actually got into this exact same point the other day. Uh,
Yeah, it literally just says Admiral Aokiji is the greatest power in the Navy. I'm sorry, I'm really cold, so that's why my voice is like really weird.
oh no, it's fair. I'm actually a bit chilly myself.
Uh,
Uh, was it before all of this? Wow.
that was in chapter 303.
303?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. That actually helps a lot. Uh,
yeah. I sent it in general if you're looking for it, but
yeah. I mean, the thing is, I'm pretty sure I had looked at, because I typically like the rule a lot of people and myself typically follow with this is essentially like official translation goes over like it has
hmm
president precedent. That's not even the right word. It has superiority over the regular scans that typically go just to like come to an agreement because of how many
yeah,
different ways something could be translated.
yeah.
What chapter did you say it was again?
Chapter 303. I'm pretty sure
Okay.
this is Viz.
Uh, I think we might be a bit off because 303 is actually where they drop off from Sky Island. So it's gonna be a
I
little bit after
I
that.
I
Oh
know I
wait.
pulled it from 303.
Okay, I have a completely different page saved. Let me look at the one you sent again.
Like I know for a fact that is 303.
303.
And if it's
You
not,
sent it
then
again.
I'm good.
Admiral Kiji. Because like the thing is, to begin with, like I do get the argument behind that,
hmm
but
Well, okay. So if you're gonna say, well, feats over statements, Akainu won, so obviously this is just debunked. The thing about it is, I agree, Akainu won, obviously, because he did.
yeah.
It's just simple as that. But I'm saying this further supports my point of Akainu. At the end of the day, the thing that this battle wasn't just a battle; it was a battle of stamina.
Uh-huh.
So while you might want to say, well,
Okay,
a
I see.
kind spirit was negated, all this, his
Yeah.
drive gave him a lot more energy than Akainu, who is consistently shown to be late. And I agree, he obviously wasn't like nonchalant in the fight. He definitely wanted it, but definitely not as much as Akainu, who
Mhm.
who never steps out of bounds with the Marines. Like we even see Aokiji like, bending the rules a little bit here and there, but Akainu is just strictly it's his whole life. It's everything that he is. His drive
Mhm.
is much more than Aokiji's. And I feel like that plays a big role in the fact that their fight took 10 days and he won. And I'm not just saying this as pure assumption because
Yeah.
this statement backs me up. It's saying
Yeah.
that he is the most powerful, and that was my point before with if it was for any other reason, I feel like Aokiji would win because it's not everything is on the line. Because this is Akainu's life. This isn't just like, oh dang, well, I'm still Admiral. It's like no, he wants to be in complete control. He wants, all the power. Like we even see this when he does become fleet admiral and is talking to the Gosei like they're crazy,
Mhm.
like he's above them. Like he wants that power. You know, this is this
Yeah.
whole thing. So
Okay.
so it just further supports my point of if this was just practice or something, Aokiji would definitely win because of this statement. Like if you wanted to say, well, Akainu did win,
Uh,
well, yeah, it's just because of his drive.
real quick, I'm gonna just send you this.
Okay.
Uh, right down here. And like I say, I'd probably have to disagree with that. I think probably 6 out of 10 fights I would probably give to Akainu because I think he is just the stronger one of the two in general. And I would actually want to go back to Marineford because I feel like the portrayal of Aokiji kind of supports the fact that Akainu is stronger. Because as we know, Oda loves to do that stuff where he pairs characters up. It's like Luffy and Lucci, and then you have Zoro and Sanji fighting Kaku and Jabra and stuff like that. And it happens pretty, frequently right now in Wano. Luffy's kind of fighting Kaido. There might be a King versus Zoro fight, and Queen and Sanji are currently fighting. There might be a Zoro versus King fight for a bunch of reasons that I'm not actually going to spoil because they're pretty good. But like
Mhm,
essentially, like in at Marineford, we saw these were the matchups we saw. We saw Kainu versus Whitebeard. We
mhm,
saw Marco versus Kizaru,
mhm,
and we saw Aokiji versus Jozu, and then we saw
mhm.
Aokiji versus Ace for a short clash. And the thing is, I feel like that's part of the reason why I have him so low. Like I, regardless of my difference, regardless of the fact that I think Akainu is stronger and Aokiji is weaker, the reason why Aokiji is so much lower is because of that portrayal as well. That's why I put him below Kizaru. It's just because he was teamed up against the third commander, and although I put him above Jozu, it's not like he was. It's not like Jozu's a character he can just beat whenever he wants. The reason he beat him was because Jozu got caught off guard, and he even makes a note. Oh, you lost your focus, and then he froze him and broke him. And then after Aces read, they have a clash and they completely even out. And I personally, I think Aokiji probably would beat Ace. I want to say, but regardless of that, those two incidents, to me, those kind of put Aokiji in that spot because like we had a few matchups with admirals, like a few clashes that would kind of only exist to kind of portray these people as like relative to one another. There were
Mhm.
the ones with with Akainu and Whitebeard. There was obviously the one with Kizaru and Marco where they hit each other and neither of them were like, yeah, that didn't do anything to me. And there was one with Ace and Aokiji. There wasn't one with with Jozu and Aokiji, and that's like I said, I don't think Jozu is stronger than Aokiji. I think Aokiji can pretty comfortably win. Just it's not like an easy fight when he
Yeah,
does it.
yeah, yeah,
And so like that's my reasoning. And then if you look at the picture I sent,
yeah.
right at the bottom, of course, Robin says that the world government calls these three the ultimate military force, meaning that they call all three of them that. So them calling Aokiji that doesn't necessitate that Aokiji is the strongest out of them.
So
Necessitate.
okay. Well, let me just attack that first, and then I'll get into what you just said. So with the ultimate, I've actually seen this game before. Um, it's as simple as I agreed that Aokiji and Akainu is relative, and even if at worst I can agree that Akainu is stronger than Aokiji,
Hmm.
it's still not by a lot, and even this right here is implying the relativity. But
Mhm.
even in relativity, which is beautifully shown with Akainu versus Aokiji, there is still edges. There's still little things that can bring you above someone. That's why it's called a relative, not equal.
Yeah.
So I feel like this just implies relativity, while this plus the statement of Admiral Aokiji is the greatest power in the Navy, him specifically, it would just mean out of all of them, he is slightly better. He doesn't have to be marginally better or anything. He's just if they if it was if they fought 100 times, maybe he would win 51, maybe the slightest edge, but he is the
Mhm.
strongest. But I mean, this just still supports that they are relative and
Yeah,
not
well,
5 years apart.
in all fairness, I will say uh, this is a bit something more personalized to me. I think that the difference between I think they are very much all relative to one another.
Hmm.
Like, I don't think the difference between, like, the top of the because like, the monster trio is always set to be relative to one another, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And I essentially think that the way the admirals are in strength parallels that of like the monster trio. And with Jinbei thrown in there, Jinbei's shown a few times, and even parallels with Odin and Scappa would put him basically roughly equal to Sanji, could put him below. And so like all four of those people, those are the four people I'd see fighting the admirals at the end of the series, but like all four of them I'd say are quite relative to one another. And essentially, I'd say the same for the admirals. So like, I get that it looks really bad with the like 4 or 5 tier difference between them. That looks
Yeah.
pretty bad, but essentially, I don't actually think that the difference in strength between these people was that big. Like,
Okay.
even though I have like even though Kizaru's like I think 2 tiers above Aokiji, I believe.
Hmm.
I still think the fight between them would be like high diff. You know, like if one of them lost focus, end of the match, easy.
Yeah. 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 I get what you're saying. Okay. So okay. And I also want to talk about the narrative. And I
Yeah.
agree that Oda does that a lot where he shows, okay, this is, these are, like when he introduced Marco and like the Whitebeard commanders.
Mhm.
They're attacking big game. They're not just the little scrawnies going out and attacking these random marines. They're actually doing this. They're showing off powers, and Oda loves those flares. So I definitely agree with that. But I don't agree that like that like that makes Aokiji down. I agree that that's something we do have to take into account, even if other people rant saying, "Ah, well, no, man, that's not a feat. I need evidence." But actually, like it does matter, because narrative is what makes a story a story. It's literally just a story. But
Yeah.
with that, when you're trying to say, okay, we see him portrayed with these characters. If anything, I feel like with all of this that we can agree on, and we just did agree on, I feel like that would just bring up those characters that
Yeah.
you're talking about, like Marco. I mean, you have Marco in the same tier as Kizaru. Jozu, like confidently different. Well, you have Jozu in third commander, but it doesn't really matter. Jozu, definitely not easily, but was confident at the very least enough to protect his, what he sees as his father
Yeah.
from the strongest swordsman. It's things like this that bring them up. So I wouldn't say it's just like, oh well, Akainu's fighting the big boss, Aokiji's fighting the little ones. When it's also like Akainu was kind of getting kicked. Okay, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I know you said in your video that that Akainu, it wasn't, I kind of got some good punches in. He got like, he dealt massive damage. But the other thing is like Whitebeard, we know he's gonna die from his illness. He's pulling a Roger, he's pulling an Itachi,
Yeah.
basically. He can't even use his Conqueror's Hockey. On top of
Yeah.
that, he kind of came here like knowing I'm just die. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
suicide
Yeah.
bomb this one. You know, but he also had a giant hole in his stomach. He was bleeding. all this
Mhm.
stuff. And Akainu, and you can say, well, Akainu was fighting too, but Akainu is definitely not as nerfed at all as Old Whitebeard,
I would
or at
agree.
least the one he's fighting.
I will
So
say, I don't know if we would like. Do you agree that like Whitebeard's the weakest Yonko when he shows up?
with you recording, no, I do not agree to that. With you, because I mean it's said that he's the strongest man, but I do like to think that he's probably never really shown fighting a lot. So
Yeah.
that statement could just be from first of all, it's not really an
Uh,
Otis statement. It's more
I
like
will say he's actually had that title since like back 20 years ago.
yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It could just be from him being prime Whitebeard and all the strength he's shown, and it just carried on when he
Yeah.
never really showed, hey, I'm weaker, so I'm not really, still there.
Well, yeah,
So
like the thing is, he hasn't been having to fight really high-end opponents for a while. No one's messing with
yeah,
him. Like the whole balance of
yeah,
powers thing, like doesn't make
hmm
sense to try to attack him.
yeah. So but so with Akainu fighting, it's kind of like no, it's not like that. Hold on, never mind. Um, so with Akainu fighting Whitebeard. It's still like he did get a few good punches in, but first of all, again, Whitebeard's heavily amped. Second of
Yeah.
all, when Whitebeard and Akainu were actually clashing, like throwing punches, Whitebeard was using his one of his hands, okay, and he is consistently like smacking Akainu. The fight lasted a minute at best. I
Mhm.
like a minute at best. It's just while you have Aokiji consistently fighting these characters that I would even argue, and you agree with Marco, are Admiral level.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I feel like it's unfair to say, well, Akainu did fight. What? Oh, the honestly, the biggest problem with this that I have isn't even that surprisingly isn't even that Aokiji Akainu gap. It's the fact that Akainu lost to
Yeah.
old Whitebeard, and you're saying he's relative to prime Whitebeard. That's the
Yes.
biggest problem I have.
Okay, well, I will say, I do hide behind the defense a little of like there's a 2 year time skip. Like for
Mhm.
example, I think Aokiji I could probably be up higher right now than what I currently have him.
Yeah.
But like, so I do hide behind that defense a little, I assure you. But also, I feel like it's implied in Marineford with the fact that Akainu made it very clear he wants to protect the island, that he's not really going all out. Like for example, when he was fighting Whitebeard, why didn't he ever use one of the punches like the size he used to destroy like the iceberg that that
Mhm.
Aokiji had created? It's like why did he
Yeah,
never use
yeah.
an attack of that size? And it's also pretty evident that like well his devil fruit's magma. If he really wants to, he could probably completely change the landscape of any island, and we've seen that straight out, with Punk
Yeah,
Hazard.
yeah. Yeah.
And so I think, in all fairness, I should say this doesn't actually just apply to Akainu. This applies to, in my opinion, everyone but Whitebeard when he got angry at Akainu, and I think Luffy. Everyone else, I think, was holding back a little because, like, on the Whitebeard side, you had people. It was a rescue mission. They had to fight to get in there, get Ace, and then get out, which means they didn't want to just completely use all their strength to win a battle because they still have to think about the escape part.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with the admirals, I think they could very easily destroy an island as well. So it's like I think all of them could. So I think they were all kind of holding back a little. Like I'm sure Aokiji didn't want to freeze all the I mean all the Marines on their side. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
So mm,
Well, I do have to just slide in there, and I do have to disagree with the old Whitebeard wasn't fighting back, or old Whitebeard wasn't holding back. I feel like he did let out more than he would have if he wasn't angry, but I
mhm,
don't feel like he was power. Because if he had used his full power, then we would have seen something like what Blackbeard did when he first got the power.
yeah,
You know? So I feel like based off of that alone, he was holding back, and he would have had to been holding back because if he wasn't, then I'm not even gonna make the argument that the whole planet would have been destroyed. At least that island would have gone up into water,
Yeah,
ocean. So if he
yeah,
wasn't holding back, they'd all be dead. So I feel like it was.
yeah. Well, no, like the specific time in which I don't think he was holding back was I don't think he was really holding back at all when he hit Akainu. Because
Mhm.
like he split the island like seemingly in half or broke a piece off of it and made that huge chasm that Kainu fell into. And I like right before Blackbeard showed up, he was about to just bring down Marineford. I think he was going all at it, like just all out at that point. But outside of that, yeah, I would agree that he's holding back, and it's kind of been stated, I think, pretty flat out that he, like, when he has his crew around him, he kind of has to because of the nature of his devil fruit. Like
Yeah,
a quake isn't really something that you can like. It goes in all directions.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so I guess we agree there. All I really want you to admit, like, okay, I feel like if Aokiji went against okay, with you saying that Aokiji is high second commander, what that tells me is that Luffy just passed him because he beat Katakuri. What that tells
Hmm.
me is that people like okay, well, actually, I did watch your video. I know that you're saying like end of series,
Yeah.
Luffy, Zero. That's why I'm not on you right now. That's why I'm not right on top of you right now. But oh yeah, okay, no. I guess we'll get into that a little later. But I just want you to like actually say to me, like if you don't want to say nah, even with everything, even the fact that I admitted that they're relative, they're still
Yeah.
5 tiers apart. Okay, whatever. Do you honestly think Aokiji is not beating Katakuri?
Do I honestly think Aokiji is not beating Katakuri?
Why?
The thing is, for that one, I'm not sure because like the thing is, although I have Katakuri on a tier above him, uh, the way I view it is like first off the high tier and then the like regular tier commander. Those are really just the same tier. I just wanted to make a differentiate between the people I think are the strongest within that tier, I guess,
Mhm.
And so like pretty much I think a fight between people like one tier apart could go either way,
Okay.
just depending on like power matchup or something. So like
Mhm.
everything's pretty much general. I have Katakuri there just because that seems to be the structure Oda likes, and it makes sense to me that like all the Yonko commanders, like all the henchmen of Yonko essentially should be relative since they're supposed to be relative military forces.
Mhm.
Although I'd put like pretty much the admirals above pretty much all of them in strength would be fine with me if you wanted to do that, or I put them equal to who I see as the top tiers. So a fight between Aokiji and Katakuri. I honestly don't know because Aokiji was hinted to have future sight, in my opinion. Like, you remember when Whitebeard kind of like stabbed him, and they were like, "Oh no, that was like he got completely stabbed with a whole like thing of hockey. Is he dead?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"No, you fools!" And it's like he just shifted around his body and just morphed it.
Yeah, I feel
So
like it
I
would
think
need a
he
major
has future sight.
operation.
I also
Yeah.
think Akainu has future sight and potentially Kizaru. But like,
Very much
so,
potentially. Yeah.
huh?
Very much potentially, yeah, with Kizaru. Definitely Fujitora, but I feel like I it's not something I need to argue, but I feel like Kizaru would be the least like out of everyone, the least likely to have future sight.
I would agree with you. I would completely
Yeah.
agree with you. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually in the did you see Film Z?
Um what's that one again? Is that the one with the Douglas Bullet?
No, no, no. It was a bit before that. It was like with an older admiral. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest it. But it was like basically like this old admiral who helped train a lot of the new Marines who are currently like in charge and everything. And he even has
Mhm.
this line, and it's like a movie like written by Oda, and he has this line in which he's like, "You always relied on your devil fruit too much, Kizaru." And like I like. although it's a movie, I don't try to put like too much strength into it. At the same time, I
Mhm.
still kind of like generally follow that line where it's like I feel like out of all the admirals, he's always probably the one lacking in hockey the most because he has like the fastest devil fruit power.
Mhm.
And like, for someone who's probably the fastest man in the series, why does he need the best observation hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like that is neither here nor there. Uh yeah, I honestly don't know which way the fight would go between Aokiji and Katakuri because I think their future sites would probably cancel out because I am working under the assumption Aokiji has future sight. And
Yeah.
especially like, you know, even with my whole devil like you said, with my whole devil fruit thing between Akainu and Aokiji, though devil fruits cancel out. So it comes down to hockey. And so they have to basically for that fight to be 10 days long, they have to be even stats. And I'm pretty sure Akainu has it, so yeah. I think they
Yeah.
would probably cancel out. So then it really comes down to devil fruit advantage and like hockey. I think Al ooh. Yeah, no, I think Aokiji has better hockey than Katakuri, like armament.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then he might be able to win. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still feel like okay. So I'm still kind of hung on that Aokiji versus Akainu. Because
That's fine, yeah.
so with the like I agree. Like in any tier list, if they're one tier away, it can go either way. But with Akaiju, Aokiji and Akainu, if you want to say after 2 years Akainu would have gone stronger, okay, okay. But why not Aokiji too? And why not Aokiji more? Because he's now left the Marines, so he doesn't have them as a support. And also,
Mhm,
Akainu is now the fleet admiral, so he's not more so out in the battlefields as he was. He's
mhm,
more just writing stuff up in an office. And so, if you wanted to say he got more stronger, then that would have to either apply equally to Aokiji or
mhm.
more so to Aokiji. So I feel like,
Oh,
I, yeah.
well, essentially, here's kind of like my perspective on that.
Mhm.
To begin with, I don't think the Admirals get much fighting experience regardless, because like I can't think of many times in which like you'd call an Admiral in. That's not like
Yeah.
a Yonko related thing. So
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily think any of them get the most experience, although I would agree that Akainu probably gets less now.
Mhm.
Uh, my reasoning for that would kind of be like, and like we kind of know that in One Piece, when you have like a strong, like an intense fight, you could potentially grow stronger from that.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's potentially true that maybe Kainu's hockey might have even been able to potentially like just like surpass Aokiji's during the fight, and maybe that's why he won. Like maybe they really were equals without their devil fruits, and so
Mhm.
like that's what happened. But part of the reason why I wouldn't say Aokiji, part of the reason I don't have it factored for Aokiji is the time skip, is the fact that he lost a leg. And I don't know how much that would
He
personally
did what?
affect him in a fight because obviously he has his, fake leg and everything. But like, I don't know how much that's gonna affect him in a fight, especially depending on the environment, or who he's
Hold on, hold
fighting.
on, hold
Because
on,
now
hold on,
he's
hold
even
on,
more
hold on, hold on.
susceptible to someone with heat powers, because then he can lose a leg. And
Wait, 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 wait. Aokiji did what? He lost
Mhm.
a what?
He
When was
lost a
this?
leg.
When was this?
Oh yeah, it was from the fight. Like Akainu got that scar, and then Aokiji lost his leg. It was revealed. Oh God, that's why. Oh, I don't know if I don't think you did see Film Z. It was revealed in Film Z that Aokiji lost his leg after the time skip. Because in Punk Hazard he had clothes on, so you wouldn't have seen it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. No, but he lost like I think it's his lower left leg from that fight, and so now he just has a fake one made out of ice.
Dang. It sucks. It's tough. But okay. Okay, even with that, so do you or do you just I heard what you have to say. I just want to make sure I'm not strawmanning you.
Sure.
do you agree that their experience or how much stronger they got, if they did get stronger, would at the very minimal least be relative?
You know what? Yeah, I can agree to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you've
Uh,
already yeah.
mhm. Well, no, it's like if I were to factor that in, honestly, I could put Aokiji higher up. Like,
Okay.
Aokiji's rank was basically based on Marineford Aokiji.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I just want you to see that. Okay, well, I'll say that for what I'm about to say. Okay. So, do you now disagree? We didn't really tackle it because I agreed with it, but you said earlier that Akainu um probably shouldn't. Obviously, you can't tell the future. Neither can I. We're not Katakuri or
Yeah.
Aokiji, maybe. Um, but do you think, or do you still agree that Akainu didn't get any amps from now until end of series, or do you think maybe he did?
Yeah, I still think I kind of didn't get any amps from now to end the series.
Okay. So then, from now, it's safe to say that do you agree they were relative in their fight with not only the statements that one that the one that I sent says Aokai's better, but I mean you kind of did agree that they were relative with the statement you sent,
Yeah.
the freaks you provided,
Mhm.
stuff like the fact that they fought 10 days, even if Akainu won, someone had to win. Okay, it's going either way, no matter what you want to say happened. If they fought for 10 days, they're relative, period. Okay.
Yeah.
So with everything, do you agree that then they were relative? Like like at the point of that fight, before the time, or actually, I think it took place in the time skip, but at
Mhm.
that point they were relative. Do you agree to that?
Well, what do you mean by like relative within the fight itself, or relative to each other in terms of a more general sense of strength?
The
The what?
there's obviously like if you put Aokiji against someone, then Akainu could do better, or vice versa. But I would say more in a general sense because everything's pointing to they are generally relative.
Okay, that's where I think that's where our disagreement comes from. I'd say that we go like I would say that I don't see them as like I don't see them as relative generally, I should say. Like I find all the like I said before, I find them all to be relative, and I think a fight between them would go like high either way. But like on a more general sense, I do think that there was like a significant gap between Akainu and Aokiji, similar to the gap that you would find between Luffy and Sanji, essentially.
Okay. 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 So, and you're saying that because of a kind of Zelfort, right? Well, there may
Yes,
be
I
other
think
things,
that
but
is purely because
mostly.
of Akainu's devil fruit.
Okay. Okay. So with that, I feel like even their devil fruit is implied relative from things like the clash we see where it's like the big Aokiji and the big Akainu, staring each other down, and then there's that big
Hmm.
clash. The fact that they're both confirmed advanced hockey users,
Yeah.
advanced Logia hockey. I don't even know how you can do that. Logia's already overpowered, but they're both that. There's things like that actually might be it. There's things
Uh,
like how Akainu had. I've never seen the argument made, but I feel like Akainu has durability negs with like when he punched old Whitebeard
yeah.
and it flared up inside of him because
Yeah.
a second later we saw him shooting like those magma fists at him and Whitebeard was just like bashing them out of the way. But then,
Oh,
you know,
yeah. I think
so
that might just. I think that's more of a hockey thing. Like
yeah,
like when
yeah,
he first
you might
punched
be right.
old Whitebeard, if I'm correct, like Whitebeard had just like coughed up some blood and stuff too.
Yeah, it might also be because right after that, Whitebeard goes out and grabs him. It might just be
Yeah.
Whitebeard let him, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. So I feel like with everything provided, I feel like I agree that Akainu's Delphi is better because Oda said it was, and it's in the Viver
Hmm.
card. But I don't feel like it's 5 tiers, but because you just said it's purely because of Devil Fruit that Akainu would be better or is better
Yeah.
in your opinion. There's no way that with everything we've seen, which is little, but from what we've seen, that his is so much better than a okay, I'm not even saying that in terms of you can completely disregard their clash between
Yeah.
magma and ice, and it's still implied with everything. I feel like Devil Fruit would still be factored into things we were saying with like the Robin saying the ultimate force, stuff like
Mhm.
that. Obviously, Kizaru's is a lot better in my personal opinion, but
Yeah.
since they're both Logia are like they're both like more physical Logias, Kizaru is like an oddball. But um I feel like it's just more shown that they are relative with them both being advanced. They're basically shown to have everything in common. So I feel like the only clear advantage for Akainu having, and if I'm rambling, you can just tell me because I do that a lot. But I feel like the only clear advantage for Akainu's Soul Fruit is the Vivre card, and
Yeah.
I can acknowledge it, but I don't feel like it's enough for 5 tiers above.
Okay. Uh, I'll say like essentially, I don't think that the devil fruits are really relative. Just because like even like when you look at their performance against Whitebeard, Akainu's Devil Fruit was able to do a lot of damage. Aokiji froze Whitebeard, that did nothing. He tried to shoot attacks at Whitebeard, those did nothing because they just like he just broke them with quakes, and of course that also has to do with Devil Fruit matchup as well. But like the destructive power of magma compared to the destructive power of ice, they're two different realms. I think the
Mhm.
Devil Fruits. I'd honestly probably would say Aokiji's is more versatile. Like I don't think we've
That's
seen all
that's the
from
argument I was about to
Akainu, but
make.
I think Aokiji's is more versatile because of the ability to create different shape stuff and that form actually stay there and being able to freeze the ocean and stuff. But like
Yeah.
I think that Akainu's Devil Fruit is very much just kind of like clear of Aokiji's in terms of destructive potential.
Yeah, yeah, and I can completely agree with that. That his is definitely that's exactly what magma is for. And I feel
Yeah.
like ice is more of a versatile thing, more I feel like where Akainu reigns, it now you can disagree with me, and I'll back it up. Um, where Akainu, well, okay, let me not say that actually. Where Akainu goes in destructive power, I agree his is better. Um, where Akainu goes in destructive power, Aokiji either makes it up in speed with his just instantly going, because even with Akainu's magma, it still has to travel. It's
Hmm.
usually shown as like the slowest thing, because with like Aokiji's, it's just ice,
Yeah,
ice,
it's
ice,
it's like
ice.
quick,
You know?
super instant
Yeah.
almost.
So where Akainu excels in destruction and power, which is what magma is for, I feel like ice is much, or at least Aokiji's ice is a lot more quick, and it makes up for that. So I still feel like that would just be that would still imply relativity. It's just that they excel at different things. But overall, they're still more relative. Because even if you wanted to say that like, well, Akainu's is more destructive, which I agree with, or
Hmm.
Aokiji's is more quick, which you agree with,
Yeah, I would
it's
agree.
still not by a lot. Because if it was, then either Aokiji would have blitzed him, or Akainu would have one shot um Aokiji. So I don't feel
Okay,
like
but
it's still by
like
a
here's
lot.
the thing for me, right? Like I think the difference between them is actually by a lot. I
Why?
think the reason why they like I purely think that they just completely cancel each other out, and that's why they were able to fight for so long.
Hmm.
Like if you could just kind of like put Aokiji's attacks but without the ice but on the same level almost, like his attacks are just faster, and then I think he'd actually would probably win the fight if you could do it like that. Actually, because even if I'd put a kind whose attacks faster, they'd be so much slower. Uh, but like I think the difference between them is actually quite significant. It's just that they cancel each other out because of the whole heat transfer thing, so it doesn't ultimately matter. Like freezing, like even if he can super freeze magma, well, his ice is gonna melt because it's magma. You know, it's not like the devil fruits
Yeah,
fighting each
yeah.
other is essentially pointless. So I feel like even because even though I think there's a significant difference, I think the devil fruits completely just kind of cancel each other out regardless.
So
And
with
so, like,
that,
even though I think that there's a significant difference, I'm sorry, I keep repeating myself.
yeah.
Uh, it doesn't really matter because of that cancellation. Like, one of them couldn't out blitz, like speed blitz the other one, and one could have just do one powerful attack against the the other
Mhm.
just because of that. I think it was really to me that is literally the perfect case of devil fruits just canceling each other out.
Yeah. Um, so then would you so then saying that they would cancel each other out, would you say that there is something in play of obviously not to the level of Luffy's rubber and Enel's lightning, but
Hmm.
their specific elements do have something to do with the other. Because if they canceled each other out because of that, then because I don't think they really do. I just feel like it's more of like I feel like their things are more of an energy wave. Obviously they're not, but that's how I like to see it. It's more of like an energy wave. Like if they had Nen, you know what Nen is,
Yeah.
right? I feel like
Yeah, I know what
Akainu
it is. I
would be
will say
magma.
it's been a while since I watched the show though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like if they had Nen, Akainu's Nen would be more like his magma. Aokiji's would be more like his ice. But I don't feel like it with them clashing. I don't feel like they instantly just like negate each other because I feel
Mhm.
like I can agree, and I already said this, and I too repeat myself, but Akainu's is more destructive.
Yeah.
But but I'm supported by saying his isn't that much more destructive because we do see them clashing. So if his
Hmm.
was more powerful, it would have burrowed right through Aokiji's. And I also feel like that also plays into um me saying that Aokiji's speed isn't a lot more, which you might be confused because I'm supposed to argue for Aokiji, but
Yeah.
it just goes to more show that they're relative because they meet in the middle. So Akainu is coming, Aokiji's coming, and they meet in the middle, but Aokiji didn't get further faster, but Akainu isn't, crushing his ice,
Hmm.
which which both of those should be the case if they're significantly more, but we see they're not because of that. So that's why
Well,
I have to completely disagree.
there's a slight difference though, because the thing is, the whole reason why magma is so destructive is obviously because of its heat. And
Hmm.
so the ice, will just absorb heat pretty much it will become water, then become steam, and it will keep absorbing heat. So even if there's a significant difference between the two in terms of destructive output, which I think there is, uh, does it wouldn't really matter specifically because of the heat transfer. Like Aokiji's
Oh,
devil fruit
okay.
would essentially just take all that heat and disperse it, and then they're stuck with steam
Okay.
and
Yeah, yeah,
dried
yeah.
up rock.
Okay. Now I see why you're saying that. Now I see why you're saying that. Okay, I feel like okay, well then I do disagree because I
Hmm.
don't feel like that's why Akainu's is more destructive because if that was the case, then it would be like, well then his isn't really more destructive. Because when we see like him like lava or magma whatever you want, I don't care. It's earth. So
Yeah.
it does have that component of it's really hard.
Hmm.
And I feel like that is the big thing because if it was more, if it was, if he did get more out of it from the heat, then it would be more like he's not sending these giant raining magma hands to crush everyone and destroy everything. It'll be more like he's putting layers over everyone, or like spewing magma at people to heat them up. I
Hmm.
don't know if it's stated. I don't know if you're getting it from a statement, but I do feel like his magma definitely has, it definitely is hot, and that definitely does help. but I feel like it's more of it might not even be his devil fruit though. It could also just be him. I feel like he's much more ruthless. So if they both I don't know if you ever watched Avatar, but if they both like punch and the punch is I feel like a Kainu's would be much more hard, much more ruthless, much more, attack heavy, while Aokiji is more calculated, more stuff like
Mhm.
that. So I feel like the heat, whichever way you want to go, I feel like the heat isn't that much of a thing from how Akainu uses his devil fruit.
Well, the thing is, like, lava is actually, like a semi-liquid, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
it's
no.
not really particularly hard, you know?
Mhm.
It's weird to say it's soft or, like, liquidy because, I mean, that's what it is, but, like, if you touch it, you're kinda losing a limb or something, but, like, it's
Yeah.
actually, like, like, that wouldn't necessarily, like, factor into it much, is its actual weight, although the weight is technically a factor, but you can then say, like, Aokiji's ice also has weight to it technically.
But Aokiji's would be a lot less denser than lava because lava is literally even the liquid part is melted down rocks
Yeah,
and rock and solid rocks mixed in, while ice is frozen water. It's a lot
yeah.
less dense, so naturally it's a lot less heavier. So therefore, it would be less destructive. Just off top.
Yeah, I think I'd actually probably agree with that, especially just because, like, water actually becomes less dense as it
Hmm.
becomes ice. Like, the densest, temperature for water is actually 4 degrees Celsius, and that's
Yeah.
not so, like, yeah, it's definitely less dense and so naturally less destructive. But,
Hmm.
like, essentially, I guess you can argue but, like, I don't imagine that, like, the rock that he produces from his magma is really that much of a problem considering how slow the attacks are.
Um. Well, no, I'm not saying with the like I still with me saying Aokiji's is faster, like going back to what I said a couple minutes ago, I feel like there still are I feel like kind of is still fast. It's just
Mhm.
more shown that his is more reliant on his destructive power,
Yeah.
which is which again is more shown by their clash and how they meet in the middle instead of Akainu blitzing him and Aokichi having to like struggle back or something, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So I feel like his is actually relative well not I feel like Aokichi's is faster, noticeably faster,
Yeah.
but not to the point of Akainu can't do anything because that's not the case because that's the opposite of what we see because they do meet
Mhm.
in the middle. So,
Yeah.
basically this is how I have it. I feel like the reason they met in the middle, what you could say is okay, well, I feel like like this is me talking as you. Since you
Yeah.
agree that his is more destructive, his got there as soon as Akuji's did, but it's not
Mhm.
really the case because Aokichi's is slightly more faster and Akainu's is slightly more destructive. So while Aokichi got there first, Akainu pushes him back. I feel like
Mhm.
if it was the if he like I completely disagree with the canceling thing, but because if you're talking about by element, because if Akainu's was a lot more destructive, he would have it wouldn't be no clash. It would be more so like showing a silhouette of Aokiji and a silhouette of Akainu throwing attacks at each other, not a clash. A equal, just shown like how well obviously they're not relative, but Marco and Akainu are clashing, or like Ace and Smoker and Logtown are clashing with their things.
Yeah.
It's not canceling each other out. They're just outputting the same amount of force, whether that be via speed or via destructive power. So
Mhm.
my thing works a lot better than what you're saying based off that one thing right there.
Okay. Well, like I said, I mean, I'd probably, like, based off, like, my thing, right? Like, I don't think they necessarily have to put out the equivalent like amounts of either material or anything, because like I would actually probably agree with your assessment. Like the magma would probably melt the ice before it actually makes contact with the other ice and everything, so that's why they probably met in the middle.
Hmm.
But like, can you repeat your point again just so I can make sure I have it right?
Yeah, yeah. I'll say it more simply. Akainu's, if we're going by your logic, and Akainu's is significantly better,
Hmm.
then they shouldn't have met in the middle at all. There should be no middle.
Okay,
It should
okay.
have been Akainu winning if his is
That's
significantly better.
that's where I disagree. Okay, yeah, okay. Now I get it. Well, like you said, Aokiji's is noticeably faster. So I do think he sent more ice at a quicker rate. Like his ice was just moving at a quicker rate. And Aokiji's is, I mean, Akainu's is definitely slower. You know, magma's like lava typically is shown to move rather slowly. And so
Mhm.
like you said, I pretty much agree. The magma would have melted ice so that they'd eventually actually end up meeting in the middle, and that's where it would clash out. But in my idea, like I don't think that really takes like I don't think that exhausts either one of them more than the other. If that makes any sense. Like to begin with, I don't know if Logias actually get tired when they use their devil fruits. Like I don't know if it requires anything from them because we've never been shown that it does. And so like essentially, even though I think like Akainu has that higher, such a much higher destructive force, and I'll agree that not all of that is from heat. Nonetheless, when it comes down to it, we both know that the reason why it's so powerful is the heat. Like if it was just rock, well, it would be kind of suckish, you know. Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Regard.
like so in that case, like when the heat is gone, even if it were to go up against the ice. At that point, the ice why it wouldn't be oh wait, shoot, I almost completely forgot. The rock would actually stop. It would start losing momentum as soon as it loses the heat because it would solidify and probably stick to the ground
Yeah.
like actual lava.
Hmm.
Uh sorry, that's beside the point. My bad. I'm getting off on a tangent. But
I
like
guess.
essentially, like I think that despite the difference in destructive force, because of the way they work, they still do cancel out just because, well,
Oh,
like,
because Aokiji would melt. I mean, Akainu would melt Aokiji's ice. Is that what you're saying?
well, yeah, he'd melt the ice that comes before it, and like you say, kind of pushing it back, and so
Okay.
like it comes out down to a clash.
Okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So then, would you say how much faster do you think Aokiji's ice is? If you just have to get a rough estimate, obviously, I'm not going to pull out. Oh, well, you're wrong. It's actually no. You know.
Uh,
Um. How much faster do you think Aokiji's ice is?
I'd probably say it's hmm, maybe maybe like 1.5 times faster. Because like it's a significant change, but it's not like a Kainu is super slow with the magma. Like it's still like
Okay.
he still is fighting people like Whitebeard and stuff and Marco.
Yeah. 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 Okay. How much more do you think? How much more destructive or offensive, whatever you want to say, is Akainu's compared to Aokiji's?
Uh, God, that I think a Kainu's is there's a slight caveat here, mainly because of the way like it is with magma. Like in terms of throwing it at something.
Well, okay. Well, okay. I'll clarify. Even with the heat, like how it destroys things in any capacity.
Oh, I think it's significantly higher because of that.
Okay. But like if you had to put it to a number, how much?
Uh, maybe 3 or 4 times stronger.
Okay. Okay. So if Aokiji's is let's say, yeah, okay, so 1.5 times faster.
Mhm.
Then the clash would be, then at first it would be Aokiji, okay, they both shoot their ice, and Akainu's gets, let's say they escalate for, you know, just just so we don't get, too complicated.
Yeah.
They're both escalating to get to the same point. If Aokichi's is 1.5 times faster, his will be a lot more than, it will be almost double because of that half difference. It will be double because Akainu is going half as slow as Aokiji, and Aokiji is going half as fast. So that
Yeah.
equals out to about one difference, plus the regular speed. So Aokiji would be, well, okay, not 2 times faster, but yeah, but he would have 2 times more ice than Akainu's magma. And if that's the case, that means Aokiji's ice is towering over Akainu's magma. So it's not even a thing of like, Akainu is melting his ice and pushing it because his is so destructive because it's a 4 times amp. It's a thing of now, like, Aokichi's ice is now towering over Akainu because he's
Mhm.
not fast enough to react. So then, if we go by what you are saying, they shouldn't have clashed at all. Akainu would have never gotten to that point where his it like, even if they met, what I'm saying is, even if they met at the point of Aokiji has gotten closer to Akainu, his would now be towering over. Well, not towering. It would be twice as tall, at least twice as tall. Width is whatever. It doesn't matter. Twice as tall as Akainu's. So if Akainu's is destructive, he can't destroy things that are up, like significantly above him. So now it's not a thing of
Uh,
like,
that's not true.
what? Why?
Well, the iceberg was above him, and he destroyed that at
What I
Marineford. You remember when, like, Jozu took out a piece of ice and, like, backflipped that onto the island?
Oh, well, okay, that's just passive ice. Aokiji is consistently putting power into his ice. That's just an
Uh-huh.
iceberg. So it's not really the same.
Okay.
Okay. So if we go by your logic, Aokiji's ice would have went over um uh Akainu's magma and hit Akainu. So now they're no longer clashing because Akainu would have had to either um put more focus onto Aokiji's ice that's about to hit him. He would have dodged, he
Mhm.
would have blocked, and either way, there would be no clash in the middle. So you can't say that they are significantly different. So my thing still holds up, while yours kind of
Okay.
falls with
Well,
with what you're saying.
I would agree that the speed would kind of fall it, though I'm a bit confused on some of the specifics, like, what did that just mean Aokiji's ice gets to Akainu faster, not necessarily builds up taller?
Well, okay, well, we agreed they escalate towards each other, and they're
Okay,
and they're
escalating.
going up, and they're going up. It's not like they're just shooting a Kamehameha at each other, like
Mhm.
it's a wave. So it gets gosh dang, what's the word? It gets like there's more of it as it goes on. It's not just a constant like Kamehameha, basically.
Mhm.
So that's what I mean by that.
Okay. Well, in that case, I mean, what do you think the distance, like, if you were to, like, throw out a number, what do you think the difference in speed would be?
I think the difference in speed would be more so like, um Aokiji maybe has like a quarter to a half times faster, and I say a half being really generous. Um More so like a quarter-ish faster than Akainu's, to where we can see his is faster, but
Uh-huh.
they they're still like, Akainu's not like losing the race.
Okay.
While his destructive power would be relatively the same as the
Okay.
difference between the speed.
Now, The one thing you didn't like really talk about was like how big the difference in destructive power is. How do you think the difference in destructive power would actually play into like a scenario where it was more the speeds were more similar, like 1.25 times faster?
Okay. Well. First of all, not really 1 point. Okay. Oh. Okay. If you're okay. Okay. I see what you're doing with them. I feel like it would be more like instead of like Akainu meeting Aokiji where Aokiji's is towering over him. It's more
Mhm.
so like now it's like um I'm trying to know if trying to think of a good way to put it into your brain. It's more like Aokiji's is or not Aokiji. Akainu's magma is close enough to all the ice to where it will melt regardless.
Yeah.
So the heat is going to reach the top. That's how close
Mhm.
it is. And that's why he's pushing him back, but Aokiji's speed is still staying it is the reason he was like even, there. So I feel like
Mhm.
you could see a difference. Like if you looked at the top of both of their things, you could see a difference between um, you know, uh his magma's a little lower, Aokiji's a little bit higher. It's probably like a head difference. Like if you put a head right there, that's the difference.
Yeah.
Like his magma is still it's so hot, it's still gonna melt that. While in the scenario before, with his being significantly more, there's no way in the world it's melting the top.
Okay.
So yeah.
Uh, I do want to be clear. What did you think I said for his speed before? Because I only said like 1.5 times faster. That's only 50% faster.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you say Aokiji is a half times faster than Akainu's magma, then that would mean then it's not the case of it would be more like in the middle or whatever. It would be more like Aokiji gets a half times more ice than he gets out a half time. Okay, well, let me not butcher this sentence real quick. Aokiji gets since he's a half times faster, he gets a little bit more of his ice out.
Mm-hmm.
If that was the only thing. But there's also the fact that Akainu is a half time slower. So that makes it to where not only is Aokiji's ice fast, a Akainu's magma is slow. So
Mm-hmm.
and that's not saying that Aokiji is now 2 times faster. It's saying that Akainu has a lot less time to get his magma out, therefore making Aokiji significantly more ice. That's what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
If that
Uh,
didn't, I can explain it again if I can try and explain it in different words if that didn't make sense to you.
oh no, that's fine. Okay. So like going back to the scenario with your speed thing, if we were to say
Uh-huh.
that Akainu was 3 to 4 times stronger, how do you think that would play out then?
Okay, so if Aokiji's speed is what I said, but his power is what you said.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then Aokiji, I mean Akainu would like trump, like easily just pushing back, just melting it all. He might win the fight right there if Aokiji doesn't quit it. To be
Okay.
honest, that's how much I think, and that's why I don't agree with it.
Well then, here's the spot where I think we disagree then, because
Hmm.
like even after his ice melts, what happens after the ice melts is that then the water absorbs heat and then the steam absorbs heat and the steam stays there and it's going to keep us absorbing heat until the system is in balance.
But
So
it
like all
doesn't.
the ice that
It
gets
doesn't.
there is going to essentially going to keep absorbing heat until the system becomes more balanced. And
So
so like for me, even with like that huge difference I have for them in damage, because the vast majority of that is coming from the heat of the lava or magma or whatever. Uh, I still think it's fine just because, like, the ice that Aokiji puts out isn't gonna actually, like, stop absorbing once it's melted. It's gonna go into the
O
atmosphere and it's gonna keep absorbing heat.
okay, so with that, Aokiji is okay, so how fast do you think just okay, you don't even have to put it into a number. If you have an equal amount of ice and an equal amount of Aokiji's ice and an equal amount of Akainu's magma, how fast is Aokiji's ice melted?
Pretty
Like
much
fast or slow?
pretty much on touch, I believe that's what how it would work.
Okay, like melted to water or melted to steam?
I believe that would be melted to steam.
Okay, so if his is melted to steam on touch, just on contact, then
Mhm,
that would mean that steam isn't going to stay there. It's not just going to be like, pottery, because they're consistently pushing out more. So that steam is going to go off somewhere. So now that steam is no longer taking in any more heat. So you can't
mhm,
apply that to anything. And it's still like, even if you want to say for some reason the laws of physics don't work today, um, and the steam is still there, steam takes a lot less heat than ice does and water does
mhm.
because it's a gas and there's not
Yeah,
enough atoms to absorb the heat. But even if we just ignore all that, oh, that's just pure speculation, whatever. His is 3 to 4 times stronger than Aokiji's. It
mhm,
shouldn't even really matter. It shouldn't be negating with at least in this scenario, it shouldn't be negating with Aokiji's only being a quarter faster, but
mhm,
Alkainu's being 3 to 4 times stronger. It should
mhm.
still be winning even if somehow the steam was still there and taking in as much heat as like water would. Which
Yeah,
wouldn't happen, but even if I granted that for some reason, like I'm a lunatic today, his still is gonna win because it's 3 to 4 times stronger.
mhm.
So with all these scenarios, I'm building up the fact that yours just consistently is not working, while mine is consistently working with every scenario that I output. Whether we change the numbers to where it's with you, we put in a number you like, we put in
Mhm.
both numbers I like, both numbers you like. Mine is consistently in each case working, while yours has not worked one time.
Well, I wanna go back to this real quick. What do you think of, Aokiji's, clash with Ace? Because they equaled out there based on pure devil fruit, and we saw that clash happen just completely on us on the panels.
Okay. Um, I don't, I don't want to ask you for a scan. I'm gonna look up that because I haven't specifically seen that.
Oh, I can get you the scan real quick.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, if you could do that, that would be great.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's about 560 something. No, 580. Okay, before that. Or okay, or 72. Yep, there we go. Sending it now.
Okay.
Okay, it's sent.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah, yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay.
Okay, so with this, um, based off what I'm seeing, uh, are, are, did you just get this from like your folder, or did you get this from actual chapter?
I got that from the actual chapter.
Okay, what chapter is that? I just want to see what happens after, so I'm
That
not just
is
like,
chapter 572.
okay, let me look that up real quick. 572. Okay. Okay, I see it. Oh, then it's just about it. It just cuts to Whitebeard. I see how it is. So what you can tell me if I'm wrong. I might be hallucinating, but
Mm.
doesn't Aokiji is like pushing Ace back?
No, he is not in that. Think the anime you can kind of see and it does better. It's basically just a full out like evening of the clash. Like nothing actually comes from it. Like Ace is completely fine. Nothing like he doesn't push Aokiji and Aokiji doesn't push him.
Oh no. Okay. Let me clarify what I was saying. With this, there's a lot more ice than there is fire. The line of medium is not in the middle of them. It's pushing towards. Well, not even if it's not pushing, they met towards Ace. So what this would say, it's just it's just Ace is his fire. It's just a lot like Akainu's, where it's melting, but Aokiji is still his met faster. So his ice would be faster because it met right here, but
Hmm.
but Ace, this is kind of like if we saw Akainu and Aokiji charging up those big waves. This is the
Yeah,
first little bit of it. So his fire would probably be melting his ice.
yeah,
But since this is just like like they just said Mirror Flame and Fezbek. So this is just when it's first happening. Aokiji's is faster, but Ace, since his is melting his, and he has a lot of it, and well, not a lot of it. Like his is more destructive since it's just fire, which is a pure destruction.
yeah.
Then it still works. It
Mm.
works exactly like Aokiji in a kind news clash. It just shows that it's a little bit before like they meet in the exact middle.
Okay. And then like I will also say this. Aokiji also started his attack before Ace started his attack.
Is that shown?
Yeah, right above him, Aokiji's already saying ice block, and Ace is the one reacting. It's
Well,
not
no,
like a
his no,
significant amount difference in time, but
no. Okay, so with that, the ice block is a different move because he says ice block, and that might be to some other attack that we don't see. But then
uh,
down here we see Mirror Flame and Pheasant Peck, and the Pheasant Peck
uh,
and the Mirror Flame are together.
I don't know how much stock you put in the anime, but the anime did like have it as like ice block pheasant pack, like it's one move, where it's kind of like like almost like how Luffy puts Jet in front of his attacks during Gear 2.
But I don't think Aokiji does that for anything else. For like not that I know of. Like he doesn't
Hmm.
go ice block, freeze the entire ocean because I feel like it. Like it's just it would make more sense for Pheasant Peck and Mirror Flame. Like the anime, it works sometimes, but I feel like right now it wouldn't because with ice block, there's either two ways you could look at what that name is meaning. It's either meaning it's a defense, as like I put ice in front of me as like a shield or something, or I'm making a block of ice. This is a
Hmm.
wave. This is nothing like an ice block. While Pheasant Peck makes more sense, even though it's a completely weird name and has, it's just weird. It would make more sense instead of ice block. Ice block, it gives you the connotation that he's being on the defensive, while this shows him on the offensive.
I'd actually argue that ice block. Well, for me, it more so gives the connotation of creation because
I could see
I'm
that.
thinking of like a block of ice.
I could see that. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can agree with that. I still feel like we see Ace's flames flaming up though, so I feel like it would just be a thing of Aokiji's is his the name of his attack is Ice Block Pheasant Peck, and Ace is just Mirror Flame because we can see Ace in the background flaming up, and plus he's
Yeah.
talking to Luffy, so it's not just gonna be like Ice Block, or he's not just gonna be like Flamethrower or Mirror Flame because he's talking
Hmm.
to Luffy. So, but
That's
but
fair.
we see him in the background making up his flame. So he is getting prepared too.
That's fair. Okay, I could take that. Uh, and then so I guess the thing would be like, how? I would say that Ace's flames are probably faster than Akainu's magma. Would you agree?
Ace is what?
Ace's like flame, how fast it travels.
Um, didn't they clash?
They did clash actually. That is correct. I think that it's gonna be in chapter 573 or 574.
Okay, I'm gonna look for that because I feel like that would tell us a lot better
Oh,
than these
okay.
two sentences.
I do want to make it clear. I was looking for another example to see like if you were right or if I was right. And there is
Mhm.
actually another point in which Aokiji he was fighting Iceberg and he uses the attack Ice Block Partisan to then form like spears of ice to shoot at Whitebeard.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, makes sense. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, it does make sense with like ice block. That's commonly what we see ice as ice block. So yeah, it does make sense. It's kind of like Gray from Fairy Tale when he's like ice create,
yeah.
except ice block.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I get
actually
that.
what exactly comes into my head when I hear Ice Block.
Yeah.
As for like the whole Ace and Akainu clash, it is 573, page 14 and 15.
Oh, and 15. Okay.
Yeah. Are you using like the official translation? Because that could be different on scans.
Um, how about you just send me what you're looking at?
Sure thing. Uh, okay, so
Okay. Well, this is more not like the other ones we saw because
yeah,
because they're actually punching like right at their jank. But right after this, because I just found it too, Akainu wins. So what was your
yeah.
question?
Well, my question was like, which one do you think is faster?
Faster between Ace and Aokiji? Probably Ace, but I don't know by how much.
Okay,
And
cause
I
like,
say that off of pure speculation, not seeing anything. Because
okay,
Flames obviously should be faster than Magma, but I don't know by how much. Maybe Akainu puts more into that. Maybe he can make it faster. Well, not just I want it to be faster, but maybe he's just more skilled, so he's faster than Ace. I don't know.
mm,
But I would say just thinking about Flames versus Lava, Flames would have to be faster. But I don't know how by how much since they're Delphers.
yeah. I mean, that's what I'd assume, anyways, too. Uh, but like the thing is, like Aokiji in his Devil Fruit and Ace, like they completely like equaled out essentially. You know, I think that's fair to say. And so
Wait, what?
like do you think the difference between Ace and Akainu's Devil Fruit is the same as the difference between Aokiji and Ace's fruit in terms of like speed? Wait, did I say that right? Maybe.
Yeah, you said that right. Um,
No.
um, I would say so. Well, no, no, and the only reason I say that is because Aokiji did his was faster than um than Ace because we see that in the thing that we just explored in the clash that
Okay.
we just explored. So his would be a little bit faster, but they're both faster than Akainu. But Aokiji would be a little bit faster than Ace's.
Okay. But like so my point is like they equaled out. And of course Akainu's Devil Fruit is more destructive than Ace's Devil Fruit, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like and I agree that it's also slower. And I think because it's slower but still hot, like even more intense, I feel like, you know, that is I feel like that the ability for the heat to transfer still kind of applies. I guess a better way of putting this, I should say, is like, because like I'm sorry, I know you said like don't worry about it, but like the destructive power of like ice, right? Imagine Aokiji throwing a like creating a huge thing of ice and throwing that at someone, right?
Yeah.
Like if that were to hit someone like Whitebeard, how much damage do you think that would do?
Like, how big are we talking?
Uh,
I feel like
we could
what
say
else?
it's the same size as what he used against Ace. We can use that as like the benchmark for this whole scenario I'm about to create.
Okay. I feel like if he threw it at, okay, and are we saying that Whitebeard just takes it and not tries to retaliate? He just takes it head
Yeah,
on?
he just takes it, but for the purpose of this scenario, he's not going to be frozen by it. He's just going to take the damage.
Okay. I feel like blunt force, it would probably be he'd probably get knocked back by it, maybe half a little,
Yeah.
but um not enough like if he's taking a blunt side of it, not like a sharp side,
Okay.
then it would probably knock him back. Maybe you could see some scruffs. I don't think it might make him bleed a little, but I feel
Mhm.
like that's the extent of it.
Okay. Now, with the added cold of the ice, what do you think would happen?
Um, well, with the scenario I made, it probably wouldn't affect him enough, like fast enough. Well,
Mhm.
actually, if we're talking about ice block, like solid, then
Yeah.
it probably wouldn't. But if we're talking about him like using cold powers instead of just ice, because for
Yeah.
some
No, we're
reason he
just
can
talking
do
about
that.
ice block.
Okay, okay, ice block, then probably wouldn't make him as cold enough. Because I feel
Yeah.
like
Like.
I feel like Akainu's magma heats things up a lot faster than Aokiji's ice makes things cold, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's just how science works. So yeah, it might make him chilly a little bit after, but he'd regain his heat.
Yeah. But like that's like now, of course, like if you were to do the exact same size thing but with Ace, you'd probably agree that Ace's Devil Fruit also does more damage.
Yeah, his does more damage than Aokiji's. Yeah,
Yeah, and then of course Akainu's above that. So like
yeah.
the thing is like the way Ace and both him and Akainu do damage to me is so distinctly different than the way like Aokiji does damage.
Mhm.
So like when I say like the difference in their destructive capabilities is like 4 times or something, it's because like they just work completely differently. Like, if magma for some reason wasn't hot, right? Then it's might do a little bit more damage than a Kainu's attack if it's denser. Like yeah, I think it's denser, like because it's denser, right?
Mhm.
But other than
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
like it wouldn't really do much more. But
All
just
right. Yeah.
because of how
Yeah.
hot it is, it does so much more damage. And
Okay.
so like when
Yeah.
I picture the difference between them in terms of destructive power, that is kind of what comes into my mind is how much damage someone throwing a ball of ice would do to you versus someone throwing a ball of magma.
Mhm. Yeah. And I still agree that Akainu is stronger. But I
Mhm.
feel like, it's still illustrated how much by the 3 scenarios we went by with Aokiji versus Akainu. I still feel like if it was 4 times, we would see that a lot better,
Mhm.
in the actual feat that we see than kind of like us trying to picture it. I feel like it's a lot more reliable, at least in this case, because we do have a feat that kind of illustrates it better when you think about it more than just reading manga.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like I feel like it illustrates more that and again, I might be wrong about how much Aokiji's ice is damaging because I feel like I do agree that they do destructive and damage in different ways because I feel like Aokiji's is much more prone for stabbing attacks because I'm
Yeah.
taking Aokiji's at his worst where he's using an ice block on the blunt force side versus just regular old Akainu's magma. So with
Yeah.
that, then yeah, Akainu's magma is noticeably better, but it's still like that's just me seeing it, number one. And number two, with the scenarios that we illustrated, it's kind of shown that his is not significantly more. So it's just it's just contradicted by an actual feat. That's all I would say.
Wait, you think it's wait, what do you think is contradicted?
Him being like 3 to 4 times better because of how we picture Akainu's being 3 to 4 times more destructive because of how we picture his um magma versus Akainu
Okay.
Aokiji's eye
And you think that's contradicted why?
by the 3 scenarios that we went over with Akainu versus Aokiji, using our different interpretations of
Mhm.
the numbers and what we think the differences between those different stats with an actual feat to back it up.
Mhm.
While
Okay.
while the scenario you presented is more just I'm really just basing it off of how ice is and how
Yeah.
magma is,
Yeah.
but in anime or in manga, it's a little bit different. That's why
Oh
I
yeah.
say we should more so rely on the feat that we see rather
Mhm.
than what we're making up in our imagination. So I feel
I
like
would
what you're
agree with
saying is
that.
contradicted by that.
Like in all fairness, light can't really be made into a solid sword. So like we all know
Yeah.
that Oda isn't the best with
Yeah.
physics all the time.
Yeah, especially with like the Straw Hats drinking milk and now they're all better. Like, I don't think so. What the
Yeah.
fuck?
And then
So yeah.
I guess one other thing I wanted to talk about then is like now you
Hmm.
kept talking about they'll clash meeting in the middle.
Hmm.
Only thing is Alkainu and Aokiji were never actually shown to clash.
Yeah, they were.
No, no. What happened is like, yeah, I'll send you the panel. I'm looking at it currently.
Okay.
Yeah, and this might be like technically most stuff in a story is up for interpretation. So this might just be the way we differently interpret it. But like for me, this doesn't like look like a clash per se because it's just like it's more so like scenery, like a backdrop to kind of represent their fight being evenly matched. Like even in the one with Jembe where they're in the background, it's not like either of them are in attack position. They're just standing there with magma on one side and ice on the other side.
How much do you like the anime?
How much do I like the anime?
Yeah.
That is a very interesting question.
Well, not
I
yeah,
always say
okay.
it's
I
terrible,
mean
but I also
like
think it's my
no,
favorite
no, no,
anime.
no. No, 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 no. I don't mean it like that. I mean like would you be fine with me presenting something from the anime?
Uh, I'll take it. I will say I typically don't hold much weight in it per se because
Okay.
I know that they often pad stuff out for time like this and like what they did with the whole Blackbeard versus Mirko thing. That wasn't bad, by the way. It was more so like someone argued that Blackbeard by himself fought Mirko and all the Whitebeard commanders because of
Oh
what
my
happened in the
god.
anime.
Oh no.
So I don't hold much weight in it, but I'd be open to you showing it to me.
Okay. Oh, I'm watching it right now. I'm looking for the thing. Oh, this is just some crap. Oh wait, am I retarded?
Uh, I don't think so personally.
Wait. I'm gonna share this to you. What I'm saying. I don't. I don't know if that's actually Okay, it's at 140. Um,
Okay.
let me just send this. I might be retarded. I don't know if if that is Aokiji versus Akainu because that might be Whitebeard.
Oh, it's all cool. Uh,
140.
can't tell either. Worst case scenario, I can always look it up. No, it says I kind of versus RPG.
If that isn't Akainu and Aokiji, then what I'm mostly basing it off of is us seeing them actually which actually, Jesus Christ, it really supports me. But them like standing, facing each other, not the big giant versions of them, just them
Mhm.
standing, and the waves going off, which we see multiple times. Logia's clashing with those, so I guess I'm more basing it off of that, and the
Okay.
fact that we see that they can do it because they both do it to different people. So yeah, that's more so what I'm basing it off of.
Oh, wow. That explains it. Yeah, that was the Akainu versus Aokiji thing. You said you're basing it more off, I think this is the scene you said. Right here and Discord. Okay, I
This
just
is
sent it. I
actually
think you
shown.
said you're basing it off of that one?
Yeah. So their thing. I waited and watched and saw that
Yeah.
Aokiji's actually it's just his mist. That's what his ice is. But
Mhm.
like that little red part that kind of has behind him is actually his magma.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's more so what I'm basing it off of. That and was I right about the at 140 that clash is that Akainu versus Aokiji? Is that them clashing?
Oh, whoops. 1 second.
140. I don't think it
I
is.
saw the thing. I was like, wait, that's that. 1 from 40.
I don't think that is. I think that's Whitebeard.
Um,
Yeah,
no,
it's
that is
Whitebeard.
actually Whitebeard versus Akainu.
Yeah, okay. Okay, that's what I thought. And then later I'm looking at like near like the 2 minute mark. There's like this big ice meteor, and then we see like a Kainu charging up. Is that an edit or did that actually happen?
1 sec. Oh,
Like,
that. Yeah, that actually happened. That's when Jozu like threw an iceberg at Akainu.
oh, okay. Okay. I thought that was Aokiji's actual thing. Oh,
Yeah, no.
that was how big it was? Oh my gosh. I
Yeah,
didn't
no.
know
Like the
this.
thing is, a lot of people downplay Jozu. Jozu has like some of the best strength feats in the show.
You were not lying. You're not lying. Okay. Anyway, oh wait. Is that I don't even want to say that's him. Okay. But yeah, so what else? What more?
Uh,
So basically, why don't you agree with me yet? From everything that I've shown, I mean, it's okay to just, say, you know what, you're right. I love
yeah.
you. I might go out and buy you a wedding ring, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Uh, I guess the reason I don't agree with you is more of like a herd stance. Here, I am willing to concede a few points here, I guess.
Okay.
I still think the difference is significant, maybe not super significant. Part of the reason
Maybe
why
it's
I
not
wouldn't agree with you is because of the whole Ace and Jozu thing, right? Like the whole portrayal thing, I hold a lot of weight in those portrayals.
mhm.
But I will say, we know that Ace had armament hockey, but I don't think he had advanced versions, and the devil fruits cancel out. So I think Aokiji would probably beat Ace.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
With the portrayals thing and like Aokiji finding them. Well, actually, I already want to get to that, but it's still like we have feats for them fighting each other, and we can kind of, you know, picture what they're probably gonna do. Because it's not like,
yeah,
oh, this is Akainu. I have to pull out this whole arsenal that I never showed anyone ever. Like that's kind of unreasonable. So I feel like it's more like for what is like the points you okay. It's fair to say the points that you're agreeing with me on is like is like the scenario points and them clashing and that kind of stuff, like the numbers thing that we just did.
Yeah.
Okay. So I feel like that would hold a lot more weight though than like and I feel I still have to I do agree that narrative is a big thing, but narrative, the thing about it and why not a lot of people use it or a lot of people like to take feats over it is because it's almost always subjective.
Yeah.
Where whereas in feats, it's just one beat the other. It's usually that simple. Like I don't think it's that simple with Akainu versus Arpacolypse, but it's
Mhm.
things like we're seeing it happening. If you disagree with what's happening, then you're just like, your eyesight is bad or something.
Yeah.
It's not like your opinion. So I feel like if you agree with the feats that I'm showing and like the things that I'm saying towards this actual duel between those two, that would hold more weight than the narrative. So then off top, since you agree with better evidence that's being put out, instead of worse evidence, then you still agree with more of like Aokiji is either equal to or stronger than Akainu.
Uh, I mean, personally, I would have put him equal to or stronger. I'd still put him below. But what I was about to finish saying was, I'd put Aokiji perhaps on the same level as Kizaru.
Why not Yonko?
Why not Yonko? I don't think he's on that level. Like I still think that the difference in damage between him and Akainu is still like very solid. Like forget I have Akainu in Pirate King. Like I said, the reason he's in Pirate King is purely narrative. So like
Okay.
you
Yeah,
could
yeah, yeah.
toss him down to Yonko. I think his feats you can't extrapolate his feats any higher than Yonko.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Well, we can agree on that. Okay, narrative's fine. You can put him in Pine Green. Okay. So I do think he's in Yonko just with everything. I think he's in Yonko. If you think he's in Pine Green, that's fine. But I feel like if we're just looking at feats, then that's what I came in here to try and get you to get to.
Mhm.
That just based off what we've seen, I like using narrative. Not a lot of people like using it, but it's fun to argue it, and it does hold weight. But I feel
Yeah.
like if we're taking feats, which are better than narrative, just inherently they hold more weight than narrative, then
Yeah.
it kind of would be Yonko, and I can agree that Aokiji would be high first. Well, the Fujitora is an eyeball. I don't think Aokiji's beating anyone in Yonko. And even if you want to say, well, Akainu is stronger, sure, sure. I completely agree with that. Um,
Okay.
cool. So I'm glad we got that settled. Now I have to ask you why Cracker is not in Pirate King.